Let's look at the fastest local models to run on your Mac. So we're going to be looking at some pretty small models here, mostly less than 10 billion parameters, and we're going to run them all locally. Here's what we'll be trying out: Qwen 2.5, Mistral, Llama 3.2, and DeepSeek R1, the 1.5 billion parameter version, which is very small, which is tiny by model standards. I'll also show you that the fastest option, if you really want speed, is still going to be cloud-based, unfortunately. So let's look at what the fastest ones are to run on your Mac. Here we go. First, we got to talk about computer specs. So this particular MacBook I'm running is M4 Max, 64 gigabytes of RAM, and that is all that matters for the models. Since these are all small models, you don't need 64 gigabytes of RAM to run them. And since we're focusing on speed, the fastest models are going to be small models. So if you have less RAM than this, you'll still be able to run these models. So let's see what models we have. We've got a number of small models here, along with a few different quantizations of the Llama 3.2 model. Even though I can run these straight from the command line, I'm going to run them from a WebUI because I think it makes for a better demo. Here I'm using OpenWebUI, which is open source and can be downloaded if you want to use it with your Ollama. As you can see, it's fairly popular. So here we are. It connects to OpenAI and whatever else you want, but we're going to ignore that. We want to go to local models. Let's start with Qwen, which is a pretty good model when it comes to the output, but it is not the fastest. And to see the actual speed, you can hover over here and you see that we got about 70 tokens per second in the response. And that was not bad. That's faster than I can read. And that's pretty much all you need if you're asking questions of an AI. But I think we can do better in terms of speed. Let's give Mistral a try, which is a bit smaller. This is also looking about the same to me. All right, let's go much smaller. Let's go for Phi. And I'll hit regenerate. This feels a little bit faster to me. Let's see what the speed is once it finishes. Yeah, that was significantly faster. 100 tokens per second. Let's go even smaller. Let's go for Llama 3.2. This is feeling about the same as the Phi 3 model. All right, that's even faster. Let's go ahead and try the smallest model I have on here, which is DeepSeek R1, but it's the 1.5 billion version, which is very small. That comes out pretty fast. However, since it takes time to think, it's not necessarily going to be faster than one of the other ones, like Llama. So that's okay, but that was also a test with a very small prompt. Sometimes the prompts are really big and the response is a lot smaller. Let's try something like that. I'm going to select Qwen again, and I'm going to give it a different prompt this time. Here we have repo prompt, which I'm using for a different project. But you can see right here we have 7.7 thousand tokens. We have about 8,000 tokens, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that prompt. This is basically laying out a code base and asking it to come up with a new architecture. Let's see how Qwen handles the long prompt. This time was slightly slower than the first time. Let's see how Mistral does. Mistral looks like it's going significantly slower. Yep, Mistral was a bit smaller. Let's go ahead and try Phi, however you pronounce this one. That was significantly faster. Let's go ahead and try with Llama 3.2. That was all right. Still not super fast. And let's try again with the thinking model, DeepSeek R1. Well, I guess it just spit out a bunch of Chinese and didn't fully follow the instructions. But it is a tiny model. Let's go back to our initial chat, which is just asking it for a story, to demonstrate one more thing, which is that, unfortunately, when it comes to speed, local models are not the way to go. You can get much faster by using the cloud. Maybe if you have a much faster computer than mine, that'll be different. However, if you try Grok, for instance, you'll see how fast these things can be. Whew, and it's done, just like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us a quick view of how many tokens per second we got for the remote models. It simply doesn't have the information here in OpenWebUI. But just by looking at it, just by running it, we know that was way faster. We could even try with a much larger Grok model. And you'll see that it is still even faster. It feels faster than running Llama 3.2 did on this prompt. But by switching to Cerebras, we can get even faster. Let's try the large model. And you can see that it was almost instant. It's almost like it's spitting out paragraphs at a time. And we can try the small model too, which will be faster, but I suspect it won't even be noticeable at these speeds. Yeah, and it's done. We'll switch back to the long prompt over here and try it again with the fast models. Let's try Grok, see how it does. All right, it can't handle that much context. And it's done. So Cerebras was able to handle it. And it once again was super fast. But my only point here is that, unfortunately, if you're going for speed, local is not the way to go. However, if you're going for privacy, if you don't want to have to trust that some other third party is going to be using your information, then obviously local is the way to go. And if you want to use it offline, although if you're watching a video on YouTube right now, then that's probably not your use case. On those rare occasions when you're coding on the airplane, could be useful, but these are small models. The models you can run locally on your computer, at least on your MacBook, are probably fairly small, which means the quality of the output might suffer a bit too. Maybe this will all change in the next few months if it turns out that the smaller versions of R1 are really useful for coding or for other tasks offline. But for now, if you want quality, you go to the cloud. If you want speed, you go to the cloud. If you want privacy, you go with the local models. And luckily, they are pretty fast. It's only fast enough that you can't read the output as it's coming along. If you're reading the output, it'll be much faster than your reading speed, which is great. So that's that. The fastest models that are out right now, beginning of 2025, that you can run on your MacBook using Ollama. All right, let's see about some very fast AI. I'll have another video about these super fast cloud providers coming out later.